Shalom. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that taught us this word. I just want to get into this coronavirus again and how the Surgeon General announced the other day that they're moving into a mitigation phase, which is basically the beginning stages of Second Ezra's prophecy. Second Ezra 15, man shall be able to shall desire to go into the city and not be able to. So that's what that mitigation is. It's basically the quarantine off of different communities. Well, it'll be voluntary stage, but as this virus progresses, this outbreak continues, it's going to be more of a mandatory quarantine. But the first article I have is from Axios.com. It's entitled "Surgeon General: U.S. is moving to mitigation phase of coronavirus response." Cities around the country should start preparing for more cases of coronavirus and think about canceling large gatherings and closing schools to prevent more deaths. The U.S. Surgeon General Jerome Adams said Sunday on CNN's State of the Union why it matters. Adams said the country is moving away from trying to contain the virus to a mitigation phase, meaning it is now spreading within communities, and that people who have no recent travel history are contracting it or contracting it. Yeah, people who haven't traveled outside the U.S. and they're now starting to get it. What he's saying, now we're shifting into a mitigation phase, which means that we're helping communities understand you're going to see more cases. Eventually, you're going to see more deaths, but that doesn't mean that we should panic. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said Sunday on NBC's Meet the Press that he's concerned about community spread, which at a certain point makes it logistically difficult to do contact tracing and continue to isolate people with the virus. He recommended that the elderly and people with underlying conditions think twice about getting on a plane on a long trip, and not only think twice, just don't get on a cruise ship. He said people should start practicing social distancing and avoiding large gatherings. The big picture: District of Columbia and at least 31 states have reported at least one case of the virus. Washington, which has been hit the hardest, has reported more than 100 cases, at least 16 deaths from the virus. So yeah, that mitigation phase is the first step to mass quarantine, getting people ready to distancing yourself and just separating yourselves. And they're doing that in my job. They're telling us to voluntarily work from home this week. And if you get more into this mitigation word, this is from the CDC, Community Mitigation Guidelines to Prevent Pandemic Influenza. When a novel influenza A virus with pandemic potential emerges, non-pharmaceutical interventions, NPIs, often are the most readily available interventions to help slow transmissions of the virus in communities, which is especially important before a pandemic vaccine becomes widely available. NPIs, also known as community mitigation measures, are actions that persons and communities can take to help slow the spread of respiratory virus infections. Several elements remain unchanged from the 2007 guidance, which described recommended NPIs and supporting rationale and key concepts for the use of these interventions during influenza pandemics. NPIs can be phased in or layered on the basis of pandemic severity and local transmission patterns over time. Categories of NPIs include personal protective measures for everyday use, voluntary home isolation of ill persons, respiratory etiquette, and hand hygiene, personal protective measures reserved for influenza pandemics, voluntary home quarantine of exposed household members, the use of face masks in community settings when ill, community measures aimed at increasing social distancing, school closures, dismissals, social distancing in workplaces, and postponing or canceling mass gatherings. So yeah, there's even talk about them canceling the Olympics this year in Japan, or at least moving it. I heard. So yeah, it's we're in the it's prophecy going down, um, that beginning stages, but it's going to get much worse. This is Second Ezra 15:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. And this is part of the prophecies. These pestilences. It calls them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Yeah, every one of these prophecies shall come to pass, man. That's why you can't, compare this book to any other book. You can't compare this, the Bible to like the Quran or these other philosophies out here, because every prophecy in this book will come to pass. Most of them have already. There's just a few. Like you got the chip, World War III. We're in the earthquakes in diverse places. Earthquakes going on every day. And these pestilences, man. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Yeah, the ones that don't believe, the ones that don't have faith, man. Don't believe, don't let them get to you. For the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. If you skip down to verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. Part of that's because these cities are going to get quarantined off, man. And this epidemic really, starts to increase. They're already doing it on a voluntary basis through that mitigation phase. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Yeah, men are going to be afraid out here, except for, the men of the Lord. Next scripture is Matthew 24:3. And as he sat on the Mount Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying that I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars, and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Yeah, we're hearing about wars. We've had wars, plenty of wars all over the planet, and rumors of different wars. That main war that's coming up, is World War III. Man. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Yeah, these are the beginning of sorrows, man. It says famines, pestilences, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, race riots. Donald Trump is helping bringing that up. He's bringing that whole racism spirit. The racism was always here, but he's really giving people that pride back. That old ancient world spirit, ancient America, Civil War era America, that spirit back in these Edomites. See that you're not troubled, for these things must come to pass, and it's not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. We're seeing that now all at once. There's always been earthquakes, there's always been diseases, but now we're seeing them all together, all at the same time. That's how you know that these prophecies are true and that they're coming to pass. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna get bad out here. So you just gotta keep that faith. Just keep pushing on. You know. With that, no shalom.